Hey guys, so I thought I would continue on my bulking cutting rant video series tonight instead of in the morning when I usually film a series for them, just so I can get the content out there. So, the last thing I touched on was how, especially as females, the whole bulking cutting cycle is really hard on our mental state, as well as our physiology with our hormones and stuff being completely different. So, like, the mental state is something I cannot, emphasize enough because one thing that I've noticed through my time coaching is just how strong the mind game can be, not only in adhering to meals, but also like self sabotage, how down you feel in yourself, how comfortable you feel in the gym, like your ability to actually communicate with people. Like, it can impact people in completely different ways. So, being in a place and feeling a certain way about how you feel in the gym, how you feel when you wake up in the morning, the energy, how you feel in the process of actually, like, if you feel like you're making no progress whatsoever, things can take a massive downturn, which is why it is so important to turn. I put this amazing graphic into the group on how to turn your negatives into positives. But basically, if you can just realize that your environment, your thoughts, the people you interact with, I already said this before, your thoughts lead to your decisions, which lead to your actions, which lead to the results that you see. So you need to keep trying to turn your negative thoughts into positive thoughts because, even if, I have this girl on my team who absolutely looks amazing, and she's not even in a massive bulk because, as you know, I don't believe in that stuff, but she says she feels fluffy, and I understand because I know that, even looking back on my photos now, knowing that I felt fluffy at all these times in my timeline and saying, wow, I look really freaking lean. How the hell did I feel fluffy there compared to where I am, right now? Like, I am 10 times more fluffy right now than I was when I actually thought I was fluffy. So the mind game is completely fucked up with females. So that's why it's even more important to actually take it slow. Because where I am right now. If you've been following me, you know where I came out of in my prep and how it took me ages to actually get out of that super conditioned state. And guess what? I did actually feel so fluffy, even though I wasn't. It's so natural. Now, imagine if I actually took the traditional bulking approach and aimed to put on as much as possible, and then if I don't see any body fat gain, I shove a shitload of stupid food into my body again. And imagine on top of that, if the foods I was eating weren't wholesome nutrition. How crappy will my energy feel then? How crappy will my performance feel? Like, throughout most of my days, I am eating completely whole food. There is only a small amount of time where it will not be wholesome foods. Say, the thing that I will admit to eating that is not whole whatsoever is I love cereal. But I don't eat it that regularly. And I don't even buy it that regularly because I know that if I buy it, that box ain't gonna last because I love it that much. So when I buy it when I know that I can actually happily substitute my carbs, all of my carbs, for the cereal so that I can finish the cereal within 3 days. Just because I love it that much. Well, maybe 5 days, depending. But stuff like that. And then you'll see me eating popcorn here and there. But the thing is, 95 or 90% of the time, what I eat is whole foods. And this is why it's also important to know that eating clean doesn't mean that you're going to be losing weight. Because I've been gaining weight. Well, I gained since bodybuilding comp. I've gained about 10 kilos since. Actually, I gained 10 kilos in a year. Pretty much. Maybe less than a year. But the point being that I was eating clean that whole time. Eating clean doesn't equate to weight loss. Because I was eating a shitload of clean foods to put me into a surplus to make me gain weight. But the thing is, I felt like I have not stopped progressing whatsoever. Because in eating clean, my performance went through the roof. in doing it slowly, there was only one time where I had to do, like, I was so highly stressed out from just so many things going on, plus my training, plus just, I just had shit going on. And I was so stressed out that my body was fighting against me. I was in a chronically sympathetic state, which is a stress state, so my body wasn't able to utilize energy. And when you're in a stress state, you're not able to bring in oxygen efficiently into your mitochondria, so you can actually use aerobic glycolysis, which is aerobic energy utilization to burn, and it could end up just going to lactate systems and being anaerobic, which produces a lot, like, it uses a lot less energy that way, because we know that aerobic work is more sustainable because it burns a shitload more. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So, like, everything got so screwed up there, so I actually had to go into a dieting phase for a while. I think it was like 6 weeks, and I dropped 4 kilos in 5 weeks because it was pretty drastic, and that was the only time that my performance and anything took a detriment. So in saying that, that is why it's really important to make sure that you, like, I admit, like, I will actually admit, because I am, if you know anything about me, and even the last podcast I put out well, actually there were 2 podcasts that I put out where I pretty much almost cried doing them, because it brought out so much real raw emotion and so many memories out, and I was just being, yeah. So I'm happy to do that, because not many coaches out there do it, and I want you to know that I'm human too, and I understand you girls, and I've come through it all, and I recognize all of this stuff, which is why I'm able to, like, that's why my girls succeed, because I recognize it and I can work with it, and I can get you on the phone if I see it really necessary. And I've actually started implementing more regular phone calls with my girls, so I can actually discuss things with them to work them through these mindset barriers, because I understand we're human. Emotions and feelings, they're strong, and any past traumas or any past events or anything like that plays such a big role. And especially since doing one of my last courses in Melbourne with, they call him the sugar daddy, but anyway, one of his, Luke Lehman, like, the muscle nerds, like, just amazing. Since doing a course with them, I've come to realize how much trauma really does play a role, and the way you've been brought up, things that even parents have told you, relationships you've been in, whether it's been with narcissists, blah blah blah, all of that really plays a role into how not only you feel about your body, but your confidence, your faith in yourself, your abilities, just life in general. And this is why Ruby goes on tangents. I've literally only covered the first 2 paragraphs on what I want to talk about, but I'm trying to say that anything we do with our bodies impacts our mind. Like, even with males, I'm not going to dismiss males from this, because a lot of the time they cover up from it, and sometimes they can be more resilient. And because we have such societal pressures placed on us as women, it can affect us more than males. But it's not to say it doesn't happen with them as well. And I know that it does, because I do have a couple guys that I coach that have been through it. And I think it's because that I bring this stuff up, that they're open to me about it, so I can work through it with them. And they're not willing to open up to anyone else about it, because no one else understands it, or they expect males to be some hard shell. But I'm able to work with it with these guys as well. And then I have another guy that I know is going through quite a lot of shit, but he won't open up to me about it, and that's normal. But what I'm trying to say is that we need to do things that put us into the right mental state to actually progress, because if what we're going to do is believe in this bulking and cycling shit and then fuel ourselves with the worst food possible, like, I have clients that will eat so amazingly on their meal plans, then go away on a holiday or have an event on the weekend, eat completely shit or drink, and then feel weak and crap and pathetic for a few days after, and their performance just goes down. And because their performance went down, their mindset goes down, and it just continues for ages until I say, hold up, I'm either calling you or you're stopping right now and we're discussing this. Because that, like, realizing that, especially when you realize you did it to yourself, and even if you don't, just seeing your progress go down, and seeing, like, it can morph the way that you see yourself. Like, if someone else said you look the same, you could actually see yourself a whole lot fluffier when there's nothing different. and that will impact the way that you carry yourself about the gym, your performance, self insecurities, all of that stuff. So pretty much we will enjoy training and the process and life a whole lot more when we actually progress towards a lean and sculpted. That's why hashtag strong and sculpted. I cannot wait until I get my Team Ruby apparel coming out. But strong and sculpted hashtag physique, and we actually love the process in being lean as opposed to bulky and fluffy. So another thing to realize is that your training age and experience determines the length of your phases. So I've touched on this before, where beginners can actually progress a lot faster. And something that I've also learned from Muscle Nerds, which, well, actually I knew this for ages, but they like reinvigorated into my head, because too many people want change for the sake of change. So yeah, there can be a little tweaks here and there to keep you interested in it, and like maybe change the grip, change something really slight just to like keep it the same. But the thing is, when you're a beginner, don't change things if your body's still adapting to the change. It's only when your body stops adapting that you should really change anything. Like, you can keep progressing. I remember when I was doing my program, I used to stick to the same one for like 12 weeks. 10, 12 weeks. And I would progress and put up my weights, put up my sets, put up my reps, keep progressing when I started out. Like, I don't remember not progressing. For the whole first few months of my training, all I did was set PBs in reps and volumes and everything. And as soon as and then I started realizing that everything started slowing down. I had to change my method of training, change my body part splits. There was a period of time where I did 2-a-days. That really burnt me out, and I took a layoff. And I found that after that layoff, I sensitized my. It wasn't a long layoff, like it was 4 days, or was it 5 days? Wait, no. It was a 12-day cruise. I went on a 12-day cruise, and I came back, and that kind of desensitized my body because it was getting sore again. But then I finally, like after 2 weeks, got back into the flow of everything again. But I found that was able to perform, like I was able to create a new stimulus to continue on my progression again. But I did change the way I trained. So all of like your training and your experience determines the length of your cycles, which then again determines the length of your bulking and cutting. Like if you're a newbie, you can actually continue trying to cut down while trying to build muscle, because body recomposition exists. But if you've been doing it for ages and you're trying to put on muscle mass, you know that as your training age improves and as your experience within the gym improves, given that you've been following a really good program for ages. Like, I know people who have been training for like a few damn years, and then they come to me and all of a sudden they're progressing like they're new, because all they ever did was train like either a princess or an ass, because they followed some Tim Duckdu's body part split, and they had 2 days dedicated to arm training because it was such a cookie cutter bloody program, because men want big biceps. So here they are doing biceps twice a week, not really focusing on what needs to be focused on. They come onto my program and all they're doing is making gains. So if you've been following a really good program for a really long time, then you know that muscle gain and any progress comes a lot slower. Like, for me, for example, I make very incremental of gains. Sometimes I will make crazy gains in my progress, and then it will take a hit. Or there'll be some lifts that are still going up, but then others I've decreased a hell of a lot. Like, although a lot of my compounds have increased, my lat pull downs and my rows and all of that other stuff are literally the same as they were a few months ago. But the other things have increased, and I feel all of my motions a lot more. My form is so much better. So it all comes down to actually committing to a training and a dieting system that you can see yourself using for a long period of time. And this is where having a tribe, having a community, and having that support, accountability, coach, whatever, really, really comes into play, because they will keep you on track. They will make sure that you are progressing. They will keep you accountable, and they will be the objective voice. Like, I did most of what I did without a coach up until now. And I know that loyalty is one really big thing with me, because they know your personality. They know the way your body responds. They're like, just everything about it. They can manipulate anything because they've just learned the way that your body moves and everything like that. So I'm really happy I have that now, because I don't have to think twice about my like, I know how to program, but I don't have to worry about myself. It's just there and I follow it, and It gives me a peace of mind. I know I'm progressing. Oh, that's where trust really comes into it too, and that's why I don't do night videos. So yeah, I just really can't stress how important it is to really make the commitment and have a tribe. Like the support is so important. Yeah, it was the best decision of my life when I decided to do that, and actually, like, especially when I switched to powerlifting and it's more structured, because when I did bodybuilding it wasn't structured whatsoever. I was doing my own programming. I was smashing myself into the ground because I was doing a lot of trialing things, and I used to train with clients back then every now and then. And yeah, so changing to powerlifting changed my life, provided a new stimulus, and I will go back to bodybuilding for sure, but I will never look back on not having a structured program. So, okay, weight loss. Maybe I should make this into another video. Yeah, I'll make this into another video, and it'll be a short one.